there and welcome to my channel, Bursts of Sunshine. I'm Ashley. It is November, which means it is Christmas time for like most people, me included. Today we're going to be making a beautiful gingerbread inspired advent calendar. I wanted to get this video out first because, you know, you need the whole 25 days of Christmas, 24 days of Christmas to count down. So I thought this gives you time to get it done. If you want to make one yourself, you can follow along. I'm going to show you step by step how I made this beautiful advent calendar. It is gorgeous. My daughter loves it. Look at the cute little doors. Isn't that just the cutest thing ever? I'm obsessed with it. Look how huge it is, like compared to my head here. This sucker is big. And for those of you who don't know me in real life, I got a big noggin. I don't want to blab all day and keep you. I think we should just get into this project. So let's just get into it and I will show you how I made this beautiful advent calendar. We're going to use this little toy I got from the Dollar Tree for our doors. I did get 6 of these because I needed 24 doors to be the 24 days leading up to Christmas. The first thing I'm going to do is open them up, take all the little toys out. I'm actually going to keep these for my daughter. She loves these little figurines. I'm going to remove the back and now we have our little base here. I'm going to do this for all of my little houses. So now I'm going to take a piece of wood. This is going to be our base because we want just like one big base piece to hold it all together. So I got this. It's a 1x3x6, I think, from Lowe's for like less than $5. I'm kind of going to eyeball about how long I want my little base to be. And I'm just going to use one of these houses to make a little straight edge. And I'm just going to cut that using my jigsaw. They will cut these at Lowe's for you for free if you know what your measurements are. I just kind of eyeballed it and made like a rough estimate about how much space I thought I would want. I sanded it down a little bit to smooth it where I cut it, and now we have our beautiful base. As you can see, my 3 little houses will lay across it like that. So now I'm going to spray paint my houses white. The reason I'm doing this is to give it a base coat so that paint adheres to it a little bit better, a little bit easier, and also it's just easier to cover up white than it is pink. So I'm just going to take a red and a green paint and I'm going to use this to paint the doors. I'm going to alternate red and green. You could totally paint these however you want, whatever color you want. I'm just going in with a little brush and I'm just painting the doors. You could possibly take the doors off and do this, but I did not want to risk breaking the doors and not being able to get them back on. So I just painted them right on here. It did take about 2 coats per color to get it painted. So I painted a coat, let it dry, and then painted a second coat. Now that my doors are done, we're going to paint all of the base. I'm going to use this chestnut because I wanted like a gingerbread-ish color, and this was the closest I could find. So this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to paint all of these. Now that we have these all painted this chestnut color, you probably didn't need to paint the sides and the roof because they will be covered. I wasn't sure if parts were going to peek through. I didn't want to risk it not being cohesive. This is optional, but I did spray mine with a Mod Podge acrylic sealer just to keep my paint from scratching off because sometimes acrylic paint can scratch off of plastic easily. Now I'm going to take my base and I'm just going to paint it white. This is just going to be like our snowy ground underneath our gingerbread house. I just thought it would look better than the wood look. So now it's time to place our little houses. So I'm going to measure this to see about how big I made it. It looks like I made it about 13 inches. And I'm just going to mark a center line so I know where to place the middle of my middle house, if that makes sense. So I used E6000 glue. I put it on the bottom of these houses and then I just placed them next to each other onto this piece of wood. Once those completely dried, I moved on to the next layer. Again, using E6000 glue, I just lined the second row of houses on top of the first. Because the roofs are slanted, I couldn't cover the whole house, so I just covered the parts that would touch. And then I used these little clamps I got at the Dollar Tree to hold them together until this glue completely dried. There is going to be a gap in the front of these houses because where the roof slants down, but we will fill that later. So again, I'm just going to proceed with gluing on the rest of these houses as my second floor here using my E6000 and my clamps. I ran out of clamps, so I used a binder clip on the last one. That totally works too. Just anything to hold it in place until it completely dries. This is what it is looking like now. I'm going to leave this alone because I do not want to risk shifting these while the glue is still wet. Next, I'm going to take some foam board. This is going to be the top of our gingerbread house. We're going to make our point and stuff with this. So I'm going to take my little ruler and I'm going to measure about how wide I need this to be because I need to know, how wide this is. You can do this however you want. This is just the way I chose to do it. I also measured how deep I needed my pieces to be. I used my ruler to mark me out a little strip the same width as the depth of the houses, so that way my roof is the same width of my house. I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to cut it in half. I did decide that using these two pieces as they were made the roof a little bit too tall, so I'm going to trim a little bit off, and then that is going to be our two slanted roofs that are going to come together. They come out to be about 8 inches long, as you can see. I'm showing you here in case you decide to make this same one I'm making, and that is what it's going to look like. So now I'm measuring the height of the back of my houses and the width again, and I'm going to make myself a little rectangle out of the foam board. This is going to be the back wall, because without this, when you open the doors, you lead to openness. So we need a wall back there to stop things from falling all the way through. Now that I've got my rectangle drawn out here on my foam board, I'm going to make a line down the center so I know where my point needs to end up of my roof. And then I'm just going to put my little roof pieces on so I can trace out that too, because the wall needs to reach all the way to the top of the roof. I hope I'm making sense with this, guys. As you can see, I pretty much have a sketch of a little house. It's like a rectangle with a triangle on top. That is our house. Now you can use a hobby knife. I'm just going to use a box cutter to cut out your foam board. Please be very careful doing this step. So now I need a piece for the front of the house. I'm just going to use that same piece that I just cut out to trace out how big the front of my house is going to be, because we need, of course, to have a front of the house too. So now using E6000, I'm going to put this all over the back of my little houses and on the base where this backing of my house is going to go. I did decide to use hot glue to put in some places just so it can glue quickly and hold it in place while the E6000 dries, because the E6000 does take a while. Pushed the back wall of my house on, and then I let it dry. So now, as you can see, there are some gaps in between our houses. I'm just going to take some little scrap pieces of foam board that I cut out, and I'm just going to hot glue these in between all these little holes, because we do not want these gaps. We are going to spackle this area to make it look like icing, but I didn't want the spackle to just fall through the holes, so I'm just building us a little base wall here where we can build the spackle on top of. So now I'm going to take, again, a mix of E6000 and hot glue, and I'm going to attach my roof, my big slanted roofs here. The hot glue is just to temporarily hold it while the E6000 dries, because the E6000 is much stronger in the long run, and that is what we want. Now I'm going to take the same color paint that I used to paint my houses, and I'm just going to paint all of these little gaps I filled in, just so it's so cohesive and it matches. Again, I'm going to cover this with spackle, so it's probably not completely necessary, but just in case pieces peek through, I wanted it to look nice. So now I'm going to take the front of my house that we cut out, and I'm going to draw a little door and windows, and then I'm going to paint this piece. Paint can cause the poster board on the foam board to wrinkle sometimes, but I didn't much mind because I knew I was going to be adding so many details that you wouldn't even notice these few little wrinkles. I painted my windows and my doors, and I did later decide to add details to this, and I wished I'd have done that before I attached it, but hindsight's 2020. I'm going to use E6000 and hot glue again to attach this to the front of my house. So next I'm just going to put little decals on my doors that I cut out with my Cricut. I will upload the image to my Pinterest and link it below in the description for you guys, so you can get these numbers if you want them, or you can make your own, or you could even use stickers. So for the icing, we are going to use spackle. I prefer lightweight spackle. I have some little piping bags I got from the Dollar Tree, and this 1M tip that I got at Walmart for like $1.50. I've tried the other regular spackle, and it just doesn't give you that beautiful, fluffy, light whipped cream look like this lightweight does. So I definitely suggest using this lightweight. I put it in the bag, and I pretty much just iced all over my little house like I was icing a cake or a gingerbread house or anything else that you might ice. I did struggle a little bit because this was my first time using this type of spackle in this manner, and it was definitely a learning curve for me. I have some little peppermints I got from Hobby Lobby, along with a mix of little pebbles and balls that I got from Hobby Lobby and the Dollar Tree. I have candy canes and toy candies and all kinds of little plastic things. I'm just going to stick all into this icing, so that way it kind of gives it more of a homemade, candy thrown everywhere gingerbread house look. So I'm just adding balls and candy and gingerbread men and all these little things. I got most of these things all at Hobby Lobby. I got it while their Christmas was like half off, so I got it all pretty cheap. I'm just going to stick it in the spackle while the spackle is still wet and soft. You don't want to wait until it gets hard, because then it's not going to stick good and it's just going to fall out. So I did try to work very quickly, just adding all of these little items. The big red balls did come from the Dollar Tree. They're foam vase fillers, but everything else was from Hobby Lobby. But you could decorate these gingerbread houses with anything you want from any kind of stores. I just really liked the candy gingerbread look. Now I'm going to take some white paint and I'm going to start adding the details to the top roof of my house. Again, I wished I'd have done this sooner in this project, but it happens. I decided that the brown was a little too plain, so I just went in adding a little bit of swirls. A paint pen would have definitely made this easier, but mine was not working at the time, so I just used a paintbrush. I used a chip brush and some white paint to kind of distress on the door to make it look like a wooden door, because I thought that would give it a little extra character. I had a few candies and candy canes and peppermints left over from the decorating, so I decided to use that here, along with these little mini wreaths that I got at Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to use my hot glue gun to attach all of these pieces randomly up into this little top section, because we kind of want it to be cohesive and match with the rest of the house with, the candy and all of the random things. So I'm just going at it with a hot glue gun, attaching all of my little pieces. The little white bead is going to be my little doorknob. It came from the Dollar Tree in a whole big pack of beads, and I have used these for a lot of projects, and they come in really handy. Once I'm done attaching all of these things with my hot glue, I decided to take a little bit of red paint and kind of make a little candy cane stripe look going around the door. It didn't turn out perfect, but it was still super cute. Now using puffy paint, I'm going to try to make like the little shingle looking look on the top of the roof. I knew I couldn't achieve this with the spackle because I needed the small thin lines. So this puffy paint worked perfect for that. I just kind of eyeballed it and made little shingles all over it. That is it. That is all you have to do, and you have a beautiful custom-made gingerbread advent calendar. You can fill each of these little doors with tiny little prizes that you can open all December long. I'm super excited to do this with my daughter. I think she's going to love having an advent calendar, and I'm so happy with how it came out. If you guys make your own, let me know in the comments below. I would love to know how they turned out. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this advent calendar. I hope you make one yourself, and I hope it turns out beautiful. The possibilities are endless with this because you can customize it however you want. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see every time I post a new video. I have more Christmas videos coming up next week, so hit the button so you don't miss it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.